This is the Mixtape podcast. I am your host, Mark. If you enjoy this week's episode, please feel free to rate it 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can find over 140 archive episodes just by visiting themixtapepodcast.com. And there you will also find the link to my Mixcloud. On the Mixcloud channel, you can also hear the music that my guests pick for their mixtape. Also on the website are my social media links and YouTube channel. You can find all of that good stuff at themixtapepodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode. Hello and welcome to this week's mixtape. And this week on the show, it's an absolute pleasure to be chatting to Liam from Monotonic right now. How are you, mate?
Hello, Mark. Very well, thanks, mate. How are you?
Excellent, mate. Excellent. Thanks for making the time and coming on the show. Really appreciate it. So, the new album, Heavy Metal, out now. I noticed it's all the places. You've got link in bio at Monotonic67. I mean, it's Hidden Shoal Recordings where you can get that from as well. Just for anyone who's unfamiliar with Monotonic as a band, just give us a little bit of your band origin story and sound, what people can expect when they buy the album.
Yeah, I mean, it's Monotonic is me, Alan Belmont, formerly the drummer with Ammonia, and is Lucas, who was a guitarist with Yummy Fur / 6 Mile High back in the Neolithic era, aka the 1990s. And yeah, we got together. I mean, we've been friends for decades now, but we started jamming during the COVID lockdown, just for a bit of a diversion, really, without any plans to make anything of it. But the jams developed into songs. Yeah, we're talking like about 2 or 3 years ago now. So, and that's how the album evolved, and it was really developed out of just jams based on riffs that we'd bring to the jam, and yeah, so I guess I kind of struggle with genres a little bit because, I mean, obviously they're handles of convenience, but I suppose what you could expect, I guess it's kind of psychedelic, but, that obviously it's a fairly freighted term, because a lot of people understand different things by that genre. But I guess it's fair to say that it was mostly influenced by sort of early 70s acid rock, really, stuff like Hawkwind and those sort of English acid rockers of that era, amongst other things. But yeah, really a whole slew of influences.
Mm-hmm. The video for Lasers at Dawn, mate, I love that video. Tell us how that came about and how you made that video. It's cracker.
That was Cam Merton, who's like the head honcho at Hidden Shoal. Hidden Shoal is his baby, basically, but he also makes videos. He's a man of multi-talents. And he did that. He's canvassed a few ideas of imagery, and really we were just with that song trying to create that sort of the sort of sleazy sort of early 70s, late 60s cinematic vibe of films like Get Carter or Performance, that sort of thing, and that whole era of the Stones in the Park and all of that, just that slightly sort of dodgy, sort of menacing sort of vibe, really. And I think he kind of captured that quite well.
It's a great one, mate. It's fantastic. And the album's out on vinyl as well. Have you got anywhere locally carrying that? Any of the local record stores carrying it, or
not yet? But I haven't even got. We literally took delivery of the vinyl like last week, and I haven't even got around to sort of taking them out to the record stores. Yeah, but that's a work in progress. So yeah, but I would hope the usual suspects. Of course,
they're all pretty good. They're all really good sort of supporters of the local scene as well. So I'm pretty sure they'll be more than happy to carry some of them for you. Also, I'm going to ask you about live shows, Liam. Any live shows planned or in the works?
Well, it's nothing concrete yet because everything's sort of moving at a glacial pace with this project. It's actually been a while since we've had a sort of a bit of a get together, like a jam. It's like trying to organize things is like herding cats a bit, but it will happen. We'll get it together. I think as much as anything, it's like we've already sort of started working on the follow-up album, but not in a live sense. So that's probably going to be the most difficult thing, is recreating what we recorded for on the first album live. And I don't imagine we'd probably do everything that we put out, but we sort of went all out with the production on that. And so yeah, it's going to be a test, really. I mean, I'm sure it's possible. Anything's possible, but yeah, that's a work in progress. But I would expect to be playing it live at some point this year. Hopefully, we have to find a bass player.
Oh, okay.
We just had to find someone who's able to, or happy to play. You know, like I did the bass on the album, but really playing a monotonous, repetitive riff for about 40 years. So yeah, not the most challenging. Basically, a good memory is what's required, I think, for this one.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Mixtape.
The Mixtape is brought to you in association with Giglist. Giglist is your one-stop shop for all your live events. If you're looking to get out and experience some live music, you can filter by artist, venue, suburb or date. If you are an artist, it will take you less than a minute to list your gig for free on the website. The Mixtape brought to you in association with Giglist. Gigs in a list. All right, mate, let's dig into your mixtape track choices then, because you very kindly sent them through in advance, which is always nice. When I say them, I mean plural, because there's lots of them. I know I used to, before I got to episode 100, I used to like roll my eyes a bit when people used to say how hard it was to narrow down. And then I had to do my own choices for episode 100 bonus episode. And I'm a little bit more sympathetic to people now who can't narrow it down to one, because it's my show, so I gave myself two choices for mine.
Yeah, with the questions you asked, it's like, I mean, my choices could conceivably change every 5 minutes. That's the reality. It's really hard to do it.
Back in the day, I used to also ask guests to name their mixtape, to give the actual compilation a title. And Steve Kilby on episode 1 named his compilation "My Favourite Songs at This Moment," because he said, like, these are the songs now, but if you ask me again tomorrow, probably be 6 different songs. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was exactly
absolutely.
That came out in the very first episode. So yeah, it's a bit of a snapshot of where you are at the moment. All right, mate. So let's kick it off. Track 1, Attention Grabber. You chose Soundhead by Loop.
Soundhead by Loop. They were a sort of a neo-psychedelic band in the 80s from Croydon, I think, from South London. And Heaven's End came out in 1987. And I'd really, really loved that record. I just wore the grooves out and played it, annoyed the crap out of my housemates at the time. And played it to death because it's, to me, it was just a really, it was actually a really big influence on what we're doing with Monotonic, to be honest, from my point of view anyway, because it was really, their stuff was really quite sort of reductive, but sort of hypnotic as well. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I really love that band, and that song was a standout track, I guess, on that album.
I had to listen to their Peel session very quickly, and amazing. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Yeah, one of the joys I get out of doing the show is getting introduced to stuff like that. Like largely forgotten band. I'd never heard of them. So yeah, absolutely love that one. Absolute cracking track.
Oh, great. Oh, well, you are. I've made a convert.
Yeah. Track 2 of your mixtape, song you sing in the car or the shower. You had a few choices for this one. So you had the Pistols, EMI, Stiff Little Fingers, Suspect Device, or the Clash.
Yeah. So this was very much influenced by my state of mind this afternoon when I was contemplating going back to work tomorrow morning. And yeah, that does, 70s punk does seem to be the thing that my go-to to sort of put me in a better frame of mind, if you like, on a Monday morning during that grim commute. I would have been about 10 years, well, I was literally 10 years old in 1977. And luckily I had older brothers who were really one older brother who was really into punk music, and he had like the earliest English punk stuff that came out at the time. And that stuff's just stayed with me, really. It never fails to, especially the Clash. I was a bit obsessed with the Clash when I was younger.
Found out yesterday at a gathering, randomly, Nick Shepherd from the Clash lives in Perth. I had no idea.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. He was. Well, the Clash Mark II. Yeah. Mick Jones and that. Yeah. Very talented and a lovely fellow as well. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was in his own band, the Cortinas, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Before Clash. I think they're from Bristol, and they were really, really, really good too. So yeah, I know. Yeah, we're very lucky to have him here in our midst. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was the person I was talking to was like, "Oh, you should get him on the show. You should get him on the show." Yeah, I might reach out and see if I can snag him. Yeah, that'd be a good one. I think be a good guest.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, mate. Track 3 of your mixtape. Favorite cover version? You picked The Faces. Maybe I'm Amazed. I was quite interested in that because I haven't heard that.
Yeah, really. Maybe I'm Amazed because it features the late Plonky Lane's vocals, at least in the verses, and yeah, it just reminds you of what a great band the Faces were, the Faces and the Small Faces. But just the fact that he and Rod Stewart are sharing the lead vocals on that one, and he holds his own really well against Rodney. So that's no mean feat in itself.
All right, mate. Track 4. Song you wish you could play to your 18-year-old self. You went with Time for Heroes.
The Libertines, yeah. Well, I was, what can I say? That would have been the early 2000s. That was like 2002. And by that time, I'd been out of the music business myself for a good 4 or 5 years and hadn't really kept abreast of what was happening in music because I was kind of off the whole thing, really. But that band I thought they were fantastic. I thought they were really, really good, but particularly that debut album, Up the Bracket. So yeah, I'd play that to my 18-year-old self and tell him to stop listening to Hanoi Rocks because they're rubbish.
Well, that's the natural always follow-up question to that is what were you actually listening to when you're 18? So yeah, Hanoi Rocks, I guess, is the short answer to that. What did you like about them when you were 18, and what have you come to dislike about them over time?
I was under the impression at the time that they were kind of picking up the mantle from the New York Dolls and running with that, but they really weren't. They were just really ropey. And I guess their biggest claim to fame now is that they were like the template for Californian sort of glam metal of the variety of I don't know, Motley Crue and eventually Guns N' Roses. Really, they were Finnish, from Finland, Helsinki. Yeah, but yeah, they were just an odd bunch. I can't even remember, to be honest, why I ever got into that band. I've listened to it latterly, and it hasn't aged well.
Track 5, song you would put on the mixtape for a romantic interest you're trying to let someone know you're keen, and you went with In Love Dub. Fantastic choice, mate.
Yes, yeah, by King Tubby. Well, that's obviously a sample. I don't know what the original track is, but then I don't. Yeah, I don't have that much in-depth knowledge of the original sources for early 70s dub, but yeah, I've always loved that song. It's just got such a beautiful vibe to it. Yeah, I don't know how much more
I think those early 70s, like the dub records now, like you can go down like a labyrinth with a rabbit hole, do you know what I mean? Trying to find out the originals and samples and what's a sample and what isn't and who did it originally.
And the originals often will bear almost no resemblance whatsoever to the dub versions, which is pretty impressive in itself. But I just love that whole genre and have done for decades. I can, as you say, get completely lost tracks by people like Scientist and King Tubby and Lee Scratch.
Yeah. Final track of your mixtape, Deep Cut, the B-side or album track you feel is underappreciated. Is it Familj? Is that how you pronounce it?
Well, I don't know, to be honest. They're Swedish. Okay. Sometime in the 2000s, they had an album called Tio Bitar. Again, I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. And ordinarily, I'm not a huge fan of sort of the proggy kind of stuff, I mean, I can appreciate good musicianship as much as anyone, but stuff like, when I think of prog, I usually think of people like Emerson, Lake and Palmer or Yes, or, and just interminable bloody hippie shit. But those guys were, well, that album anyway, stuck out for me. And I'd right into that album, but then kind of forgot about them. So I probably should resume that a bit, really.
Absolutely 100% fits the category of deep cut. I love to pick out tracks like that on a show. It's a fantastic one. Great choice, mate. Liam, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. The debut album, Heavy Metal from Monotonic, is out now. You can find them at Monotonic67 on the socials, the website as well, link in bio. Hidden Shoal Records, everything is there for you can go and buy the record, download it, stream it, give them a follow on the socials. If you're listening on the YouTube channel, on Spotify, Apple Music, or any of the listen on demand places, there'll be a link down in the description to all of those places as well. Liam, cheers, mate. Thanks, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Fantastic to talk to you again, Mike. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
See you
Cheers,
next time.
buddy. Thank you so much for listening to this week's mixtape. If you would like to get more from the mixtape, you can catch up with over 150 archive episodes by visiting themixtapepodcast.com. Also there you'll find links to the YouTube channel, my social media pages and my Patreon if you would like to get even more content that doesn't go out on the radio show or the podcast. You can secure your mixtape backstage pass. All of those links are available at themixtapepodcast.com. You've been listening to The Mixtape, and I've been your host, Mark. Until next time.